Welcome to Movie Slice. Quick, fun recaps of your favorite movies. Sharp, funny, and to the point. Hit subscribe and get your perfect slice of cinema. The series Z Nation begins, where there is a virus suddenly appeared and infected all humans on Earth. This virus turns people into zombies. In simple terms, we are all currently infected with it. This means that if someone is exposed, they turn into a zombie. If someone dies, they also turn into a zombie. After that, the events begin, which take place 3 years after the spread of zombies. We see that there is a prison where 2 army personnel are currently present, the most important of whom is Officer Hammond. They are currently escaping from a large group of zombies. After locking them up, Hammond receives a call from a soldier named Simon, stationed at a military outpost called Northern Light, located in the Arctic. The important thing is that Simon tells Hammond to go upstairs immediately and take Dr. Murch and leave, because the area is overrun with zombies. There is a helicopter coming now to land on the roof and take them to a lab in California. Hammond goes to Dr. Murch amidst dozens of zombies. He locks the door as he enters her room and discovers that she is conducting experiments in the room with a few assistants on 3 prisoners to develop a vaccine for the zombies. Hammond tells her they need to leave immediately, but she is very close to finishing the vaccine and wants to test it first. He waits with her, locks the door, and they test the vaccine on the first 2 prisoners. Unfortunately, both of them turn into zombies and die. Then they reach the last prisoner. They administer the vaccine but don't wait to see the result because the helicopter has arrived on the roof, and at the same time, zombies invade the area. Hammond takes Dr. Murch, leaves the prisoner, and heads to the helicopter. Murch insists that the last prisoner did not turn into a zombie until they left, which means the vaccine worked and they need to help the prisoner. Hammond lets her board the helicopter while he goes back down to the prisoner. At first, Hammond encounters a large number of zombies. Even his colleague, who was in the area earlier, has turned into a zombie. Eventually, Hammond reaches the prisoner, but unfortunately, the zombies have already reached him too. They attack him viciously. The prisoner is named Murphy. Meanwhile, Simon at the outpost is approached by his commander, who tells him to shut everything down and leave, because all similar outposts have been destroyed. They are now taking a helicopter to escape to another military base. Simon quickly shuts everything down, but he is delayed because he is talking to Hammond. In the end, the others leave without him in the helicopter, but unfortunately, it crashes and explodes. Simon assumed that the pilot had turned into a zombie, causing the Now Simon is left alone at the military outpost. We move to another place, where we meet someone named Roberta Warren, at a camp called Blue Sky Camp. She manages the camp, by the way. This camp is a place where a group of surviving humans live together. You could call it a community. The leader of this community, alongside Warren, is a man named Garnett. Warren and Garnett served together in the National Guard before the end of the world, making them very strong and capable. One night, while Garnett was on watch, he called Warren and told her to come quickly because 2 people were approaching from the sea in a small boat. She went to him quickly and found that the 2 were Hammond and Murphy. Hammond explained that he had met someone on the way who told him about a group of National Guard members, referring to Warren and Garnett, running a camp to help people. So he came here because he needed help for himself and his friend Murphy with their mission. Warren and Garnett took them into the camp and asked about their mission. Hammond explained that Murphy had been bitten 8 times by zombies, but neither died nor turned into one. This was because, before being bitten, Dr. Murch had given him a vaccine she had been working on. She is now in California, and Hammond's mission is to take Murphy there, so she can use his blood to create a vaccine for the entire world. Warren and Garnett were shocked and didn't believe it at first. Hammond showed them Murphy's bite marks, proving he was still fine. At that moment, they believed him and decided to help. However, they told him they had many people in the camp who needed them, so they would take them by car to the nearest place with a vehicle, and from there they would continue on their own. Everyone agreed, and they set off together. Meanwhile, we are introduced to Addie and her fiancé. There was a large group of zombies enter the camp and killed all the people inside. They were sad because of their friends who died. After some time, they went to a secondary school because it is supposed to have an underground shelter. They found everything destroyed, and there was nothing left. They fled and began searching for anything useful. They found a child who was still alive was in the car with his mother, who had died. They took Garnett and Warren and decided to protect him with them, knowing that he must have been there with his mother in the car. But surely she must have been involved in the incident and died immediately, leaving him there in his place. Behind the school, Eddie, Mac and Doc were also searching like Warren and Garnett. They came across a cage surrounded by zombies, so they quickly got rid of them, and found inside the cage a woman named Cassandra. She was wearing strange clothes and sitting inside the cage, locked in. They freed her and took her to Hammond to learn her story. Hammond wanted to know what exactly she had done to end up locked in like that. She told him she had locked herself in because the place was full of zombies and she couldn't escape. She thought she might find help, but she didn't. Hammond didn't believe her word, but he didn't get a chance to ask much because Warren warned everyone that zombies were approaching a few meters away. Hammond quickly ordered everyone to go out and gather supplies from anywhere they could find. Garnet was to stay with Murphy and the child to protect them. Indeed, everyone went out and began searching, but suddenly, a zombie grabbed someone and was about to bite them. Fortunately, someone from afar with a sniper rifle finished it off and disappeared. Meanwhile, Garnet, while protecting the child and Murphy, encountered some zombies emerging from the place. He started fighting them fiercely with all his strength. Hearing the commotion, Warren and Hammond came to his aid and finished them off. Hammond took Murphy and went outside, while Garnet and Warren were about to take the child out too. Unfortunately, the child had died and turned into a zombie because apparently, one of the zombies had reached and bitten him. Warren and Garnet quickly left the place and locked the door. At this point, everyone had had enough of the place and wanted to leave, but Warren and Garnet insisted they wouldn't leave until they killed the child, as it was cruel to leave him like that. Hammond told them to take care of Murphy while he went in alone to deal with the child. This child, after turning into a zombie, became like a demon. Suddenly, Hammond encountered another zombie with him, and they completely overpowered him and devoured him. Afterward, everyone entered to find Hammond in that state. They killed him and all the zombies after Hammond's death. Murphy wanted to leave and abandon the mission. Everyone was ready to do so, but suddenly, Hammond's radio began transmitting. They rushed to get it, and found that the one trying to communicate was Simon. As soon as Simon spoke, he learned that Hammond had died. He asked to speak to someone in charge, so they gave the radio to Garnet. He learned that Garnet was from the National Guard. Simon gave official orders to take Murphy and deliver him to California at any cost. Before he could finish his words, the connection was cut because the radio battery had run out. Garnet decided to continue the mission. He took Murphy and the group and set off. On their way, they saw the sniper who had helped earlier. His name was Tim. They took him along as he was alone and had no group. Meanwhile, Simon, after losing contact with Garnet, sat alone, unable to do anything. Although he tried to communicate several times with Warren, Garnet, and the others, he received no response, not from them or anyone on the planet. This almost drove him crazy, thinking everyone had died. But suddenly, he saw on a surveillance camera someone walking past the station with dogs. He grabbed his gun and went outside to see who it was. He found a man being pulled on a sled by the dogs, but the man had died from the cold. Only one dog was still alive but was on the verge of death from the cold. Simon was overjoyed and brought the dog inside, warming it, feeding it, and giving it water. He was thrilled as he was alone in a massive station surrounded by kilometers of snow. But unfortunately, his joy turned to despair when he foolishly left the station door open. One of the dogs that had died outside from the cold turned into a zombie and entered the station. Simon grabbed his gun and tried to kill it, but realized he was out of bullets. He quickly climbed into a crane in the station and hid there, but the zombie dog kept coming for him. Finally, he gathered his courage, grabbed a stick, and fought it off, killing it. Once again, he was left with his dog, feeling a renewed sense of hope. He tried to reconnect with the team. Meanwhile, the team was traveling in 2 cars and a truck, wandering here and there for a long time. The journey to California spanned thousands of kilometers, making it difficult. At one point, they encountered a large number of zombies and decided to run them over with their vehicle. This caused problems as the truck ran out of fuel, and one of the cars had a flat tire. After changing the tire, they spent some time exploring the area. Suddenly, 2 motorcyclists passed by, as Cassandra, the girl they had taken from the school, seemed to know. But for now, the 2 motorcyclists went their separate ways quietly. The group needed fuel, so they began searching for it. During this time, Doc was talking to Tank, questioning his name. Tank explained that it wasn't his real name, but a nickname he liked because it represented the 10,000 zombies he aimed to kill. Suddenly, one of the motorcyclists from earlier, named Travis, appeared. He was held at gunpoint, but explained that his companion had betrayed him, stolen his motorcycle, and fled. He offered to help them find a place with plenty of fuel, in exchange for joining their group. Later, Cassandra and Travis were sent to create a distraction, to lure the zombies away, allowing Garnet and Warren to access the fuel. The plan was set in motion, and Garnet told Doc to stay with Murphy and protect him. Eddie and Mac managed to reach a pump and stop it, halting all the zombies. On another note, Travis and Cassandra were the second pair.
and ended up in a distant place. They made loud noises to attract the zombies towards them. Garnett found a gasoline truck, so they decided to fill it up and take it. Everything seemed to be going smoothly, and Addie and Mac descended to complete their task. But suddenly, Travis started fighting with Cassandra, chasing her and shouting, "You'll be back." Here we learn that Cassandra was part of a certain group. The man she was with on the motorcycle had tricked the entire group to get Travis to join and bring Cassandra back. Cassandra kept running until they reached an open area, where she hit him, causing him to fall from a height. He died, and the zombies devoured him. When Cassandra was running from Travis, she stopped making the noise that was attracting the zombies. The zombies then turned back and started attacking Garnett and his group. Things were still under control and could have been resolved easily, but Murphy, who was with Doc in the car, panicked. Zombies surrounded their car and started banging on it. Doc tried to fight them off, but Murphy drove the car, hitting a pole because he couldn't see due to the zombies on the windshield. The car caught fire, and everyone ran away from the gasoline truck to avoid the explosion. Garnett managed to pull Murphy out of the car just in time before the place exploded. The explosion got the attention of a satellite, which allowed Simon to locate the group. He was thrilled to reconnect with them and guide them westward towards the ocean. Before leaving, the team found a few gasoline containers to take with them. Meanwhile, Travis's group, from which Cassandra had escaped, found his dead body and started tracking her. To understand Cassandra's story, we go back in time. She was part of a mentally unstable group, led by a man named Tobias. This group was notorious for using women like Cassandra and another girl to lure men, who Tobias and his men would then attack, rob, and imprison. They were cannibals, eating human flesh. Cassandra was forced into this life and eventually escaped. Tobias and his men had been searching for her since then to bring her back. While on their journey, the group ran out of food. Murphy kept complaining about being hungry, so everyone split up to search for supplies. Addie and Mac decided to look for a radio to contact Simon for guidance. They found one in a police car, and while Addie was talking to Simon, Mac encountered some zombies. Simon was about to share a good location for supplies when Tobias's group captured Addie. Mac returned to find Addie missing. Simon, still on the line, informed Mac about her abduction. The group regrouped and reviewed surveillance footage showing Addie being kidnapped. Cassandra finally confessed that she knew Tobias and his group, revealing their dark history of cannibalism. The group decided to rescue Addie, with Cassandra leading them to Tobias's location. Meanwhile, Addie was being prepped to replace Cassandra in Tobias's group. She discovered their gruesome practices, including keeping people alive to harvest their flesh. Tobias tried to force her to eat human meat, but she refused. At this point, Garnett and the group arrived at Tobias's camp. They threatened Tobias, claiming to have a sniper ready to attack. Tobias revealed they had machine guns, escalating the tension. Eventually, a trade was negotiated. Addie for Cassandra. Despite Garnett's objections, Cassandra insisted on the trade to save everyone else. After the exchange, Addie urged the group to rescue Cassandra, warning them of the dangers she faced. They devised a plan with Simon's help, using loud music to attract zombies to Tobias's camp. Doc entered the camp, pretending to be a customer, asking for Cassandra. He managed to free her and escape, while the rest of the group stormed the camp with the zombie. And that's it. They got Cassandra and Doc with everyone and left. The rest, and Tobias, the zombie, finished them off. They all continued their way to California, in this wild, scary, and strange world, still not knowing what else awaits. After all this exhaustion on the roads, they decided to finally rest. So they settled in an empty but somewhat comfortable house, and everyone started chatting with each other. From the conversations, Garnett asked Warren about her husband, who was a firefighter, before the apocalypse. She told him she didn't know anything about him, because she was far from home, and didn't want to face the idea that he might have turned. Garnett said, "Isn't he supposed to be your house close?" She replied, "Yes, but I didn't go." But she left it at that. A sudden storm gathered a large number of zombies around the house, so they all left the house and fled the area. After a while, Simon, at his station, looked at the screen and saw a massive, destructive storm near their team. He couldn't contact them at the moment, but he quickly used the radio to warn anyone in the area to hide in an underground shelter immediately. Everyone heard and had to find a shelter. Warren reluctantly took them all to her house because there was a shelter under it. They all went there. When Warren reached her house, she found a woman and her injured, dying husband there. Warren asked them how they got into the house. They described a firefighter who told them to hide in his house's shelter and that he would follow them. Warren realized her husband might still be alive. She took everyone to the shelter and asked Doc to treat the injured man. She herself went to the fire station where her husband worked to find medical supplies to help the injured man. Meanwhile, at the house, Murphy started feeling strange sensations, which he had been experiencing for a while, even back on the road. For example, he noticed his teeth falling out and being replaced with new sharp ones. Now, at the house, his hair was falling out and his appearance became odd. He shaved his head and joined everyone in the shelter. They were shocked by his appearance but moved past it. Meanwhile, Garnett and Warren reached the fire station. They hoped to find Warren's husband there, but instead, they encountered zombies everywhere. They hid inside the fire station, only to find more zombies firefighters who had turned. They started killing them, one by one until they were all gone. Warren checked their faces to see if her husband was among them. He wasn't, and she felt relief. But the storm outside intensified, and they had to leave. They grabbed the medical supplies and returned to the shelter. Garnett went inside, but before Warren could enter, she closed the door from the outside and stayed out for 2 reasons. First, so her husband could find her if he came. Second, because they wouldn't let her stay outside unless she closed the door herself. Doc treated the injured man in the shelter, and thankfully, he recovered. Meanwhile, Warren waited outside for her husband, but he never came. Instead, the storm arrived and consumed the entire house. After some time, everyone emerged from the shelter to find the world completely destroyed, and Warren lying on the ground. Thankfully, she was alive and well. They were all relieved. Warren felt deep inside that her husband was dead, because if he had been there, the storm would have taken him. In the background, we see her husband walking, but he had turned into a zombie. After all this, Garnett suggested they rest at a nearby camp. He knew the camp leader, Joe Williams, a former National Guard commander, who loves him. They went to the camp and met Joe was happy to see Garnett because they were almost friends. He welcomed them, but took all their weapons for safekeeping. Joe showed them around his city, showcasing its safety and abundance of food and water. He allowed them to stay the night, but told them they had to leave the next day because there wasn't enough space. He promised to give them a location to go to. They thanked him and left. Joe later noticed 3 people from a group led by a man named Jacob trying to enter the camp. To explain, Jacob was a mentally unstable man who convinced people he was a god and that everyone should turn into zombies because they were the salvation. Joe had previously kicked Jacob and his group out of the camp. Now Jacob wanted revenge and sent 3 people to infiltrate the camp, claiming they regretted leaving. Joe, being kind, let them in. This was a mistake because the 3 spread out and caused chaos. One pulled out a knife, suicided, and turned into a zombie, causing a chain reaction. Within seconds, dozens of people turned into zombies. The team started fighting and killing zombies to escape. Murphy, as usual, was the first to run away. Everyone used whatever they could as weapons, even a whisk. Eventually, Warren and Garnett met Joe and asked what to do. Joe said all the weapons were in the storage outside, surrounded by zombies. He told them to escape through the emergency exit. Before the place collapsed, they ran to the exit, but found it locked, with zombies closing in. Thankfully, someone from outside opened the door, letting them out before sealing it again. As they escaped, they encountered Jacob's group, but managed to evade them. Meanwhile, Jacob gathered the remaining survivors in the camp and showed them Joe, who had turned into a zombie. Jacob declared that everyone should turn into zombies to achieve salvation. Murphy, in a cage full of zombies, emerged unharmed, as if he controlled them. This shocked everyone. Even if they were amazed by him, they would believe in him immediately, that zombies do not affect him. He brought a zombie and put his finger in its mouth to tell them that what's happening with Murphy, the physical changes, and the strange powers he's experiencing, are due to genetic mutations caused by the serum he took earlier. So, expect anything in the coming period, like for example, he might control zombies. The important thing is that Jacob got angry at the time, pulled out his gun, and was about to shoot Murphy. Garnett secured Murphy and fired a shot, but unfortunately, it hit his heart. At that moment, Cassandra and Tank had brought their weapons and their car, and they had to escape immediately because the zombies had invaded the place. But Warren didn't want to leave Garnett because she loved him. In the end, everyone forcibly dragged her away, took her, and left with Murphy, fleeing the place. Unfortunately, Garnett died and turned into a zombie. Warren stood beside the car from a distance, took Tank's sniper rifle, and shot Garnett in the head. She also shot Jacob in the heart, turning him into a zombie, and he finished off the rest. And Warren got in the car with them, and they continued their journey, all grieving for Garnett. Warren was in a state of shock, and not herself. Thus the first part ends. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the notification button, so you never miss an updates. See you in the next video.